So our next segment is what grinds our gears really. So basically what this segment is what pisses us off the most about NFL, MLB, NBA, any kind of sports, or just anything in general happening in life, because life has been crazy recently. So I'll start it off with grind your gears segment. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, it's a little bit in the past, but I'm going to talk about the Tennessee Titans in this past offseason. Now, Derrick Henry had himself a season, first in rushing yards, put the team on his back and everything. So Tennessee Titans were in contract talks with Derrick Henry, trying to figure some stuff out. But end result is Tennessee Titans decided to give Derrick Henry a stanky stiff arm on a potential deal, and they decided to just throw the franchise tag on him, which I think is just absolutely the wrong thing to do. And instead, they give Ryan Tannehill 4 years, $118 million contract, $62 million guaranteed. I think that's preposterous. In order to do that, they had to release Delanie Walker, who I think is a really good tight end, and Ryan Succop, just the kicker, just to get that deal done. So I'm just going to break down some stats because I just still don't understand why they would do this. So Ryan Tannehill came in the season. He didn't even start. Marcus Mariota started, and he came in kind of a little bit through the season. So overall, he threw for 300 yards shy of 3,000, and that was 28th in the league. He threw 22 touchdowns. That was tied 16th in the league. And he had 6 interceptions. And he had a 62.2 QBR. So an average quarterback, pretty much only playing for 1 year. So Derrick Henry, his 2019 stats, he ran for a little bit over 1,500 yards, which was first in the league, like I said before. He scored 16 touchdowns, which was tied for first in the league. And he averaged 5.6 yards per carry. So my gears is, why did they not give Derrick Henry a deal and franchise tag Ryan Tannehill? Now, I think they should have gave Derrick Henry a deal, and this is why. So Derrick Henry clearly carried the team the whole season, took the rushing title, running over everybody. So a good run game opens up the pass game. So people are like, oh, Ryan Tannehill had pretty good passing stats. Well, do you know why? It was because the running game was so effective, especially for play action pass as well as third down options. So I also think Henry should get the deal because Henry has been there longer and established a presence in that team. And Tannehill has only just been there for a little bit over the year, and I still feel like he hasn't proven himself yet. And why would you give him such a large contract, 4 years, $118 million? I feel like they're wasting their money and they're wasting their time. I've never been a stronger advocate for paying running backs what they need and locking them up. Ever since Le'Veon Bell left, the Steelers kind of messed up that deal. So I am very surprised that the Tennessee Titans did. I'm really pissed off, and every time it's brought up, like you guys brought it up, how they franchise tag Derrick Henry, I just can't understand why they would do that. They clearly don't value him. I know that they're saying that they're going to restructure a contract for next year, but that's all talk. You don't know what's going to happen. And I'm pretty sure that Derrick Henry has a bad taste in his mouth down in Tennessee. And that's all I have. And I think Derrick Henry should get a deal in the Ezekiel Elliott range. And I just don't know why they didn't franchise Ryan Tannehill and have him prove himself, because Derrick Henry has clearly proven himself, especially last year. He played pretty decent last year, and then he capped it off this year. So it's just crazy. So that's all I got.
Very good points. I got to say, just looking at Ryan Tannehill's stats, 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That's pretty darn good. But it reminds me of Case Keenum, his miracle year in Minnesota. The dude was a backup quarterback before then, and he was last year with the Redskins. Case Keenum was a backup quarterback that got hot. He kind of had like some Nick Foles magic. You know, they tried to sign him to be the franchise guy in Denver. It didn't work out, and now he's a backup once again.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. He
Yeah,
reminds me
I
of
just
Case
feel
Keenum.
like there's just
Yeah.
so many examples of that. And it's like, why do they fall in that same trap? Because I feel like it's going to happen again. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't understand why they would do that.
Yeah. Agreed.
Doesn't make sense.
Thanks, Skylar.
What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Running back is my favorite position, and those guys go through the most hell, I'd say, on the offense. Offensive line, obviously, there's a lot of contact every down, but running back is going full speed into the defenders. So obviously, you can understand why they don't want to put a bunch of money into those guys because they don't last as long. But they're also putting the most in to help you win. If you look at all the teams that get deep in the playoffs, too, they always have a good running game. So definitely think he deserves the deal. But like I said earlier, that position just is getting devalued every single year.
I agree.
It's a crime.
It's a crime to pay a dime.
It's injustice.
Crime.
All right.
So I think
Dave, does anything grind your gears,
Yeah.
or you just always smiling?
That that kind of grinds my gears too, Tom. But I'm gonna reopen an old wound, so to speak, a wound that never healed, never will heal. You know what grinds my gears?
What?
The
Like
Miami.
sucking bong?
Well, that too. We don't need to talk about that right now. You know what really grinds my gears, gentlemen? I'll try not to smile. Try to get pissed because I am pissed deep down.
I can
The
definitely
Miami
tell.
boat trip has changed the New York Giants forever. Not for better, but for worse.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ever since Victor Cruz, Odell Beckham Jr., Sterling Shepard, and other players of the 2016 NYG offense were permitted to go on a mini vacation by then head coach Ben McAdookie, the New York Football Giants went on to lose that wild card playoff game to the Green Bay Packers 38-13, as you all know. You may remember this game, as Tom puts it, as the game where Odell and Sterling Shepard left their hands in Miami, so to speak. Well, let's just say this pre-playoff celebration tour had many ramifications and will always be defined as a turning point for the franchise in my eyes. Ever since this gut-wrenching, embarrassing playoff loss, a lot of things have happened. For instance, the New York Giants have gone 3-13, 5-11, and 4-12 with the last 3 seasons. This is a total record, correct me if I'm wrong, this is a total record of 12 wins and 36 losses in the last 3 seasons.
That's disgusting.
And not to mention, one of these seasons consisted of the most losses in franchise history. First time we've ever had 13 losses. Congratulations, New York Giants. At first, I did not blame the playoff loss on the boat trip. I blamed it on the fact that we were being matched up with a red-hot Green Bay Packers team and having to face them on the road. But I like to think good old Tom Coughlin was still on the sideline for this playoff matchup, and he got to inherit some of the defensive studs that Ben McAdoo had for rental that season. The team would have been much more disciplined and prepared for that playoff game. That boat trip may have seemed harmless and not like a big deal at the time, but man, did it change things. For instance, Sterling Shepard's pie is the last member of the Miami Timberland Boots boat trip that is still a member of the New York Giants today. He's a lone survivor, if you will. And not to mention, we are now on our 3rd coach since Tom Coughlin, quote unquote, resigned in 2015. So in conclusion, how that silly little boat trip changed the course of the franchise and turned my favorite sports team into the new dumpster fire of New York kind of grinds my gears.
Well done, Dave.
Yeah. I'm so sorry for you Giants fans. I was so surprised back then when it broke that they went to Miami. It just didn't make any sense to me. Like, as if I was a player like that, I would probably want to stay put and not travel that much because you might get some jet lag, even though there might not be a time zone difference. You're still on a plane, sitting on a plane, relaxing. You shouldn't be relaxing for stuff like that. You should be preparing. And you have a good point. Red hot Green Bay Packer team. Yes. Could you have won that game? Possibly, but you would have put up a better fight, I feel like, and a better chance to win if they didn't go on that silly boating trip.
Yeah, it just seemed like the wide receivers, especially the young bucks. Victor Cruz will always be my favorite New York football giant, but I was disappointed that he was supposed to be like the role model and the leader, and he decided to take all the young bucks to Miami.
Yeah, he probably
Lord
wanted to
knows what
salsa
they
in
did.
Miami. Yeah.
Yeah, Lord knows what they did on that boat and everywhere else, and it showed. Like Sunday on the national prime time playoffs, Sterling Shepard couldn't catch jack. Odell dropped 2 wide open passes in the end zone.
Yeah.
It looked terrible.
Yeah,
I'm
it was
surprised they
bad.
didn't drug test the guys after they came back from the trip, hearing all these reports on Le'Veon Bell getting drug tested for no absolute reason, countless of other NFL people. And the Giants wide receiver core goes out for a trip in Miami.
Nobody
in a
gets
playoff
drug
game, they
tested.
don't even get freaking tested. It just doesn't make
Miami,
any
yeah.
sense.
That is odd. That is
Yep.
odd.
But yeah.
Yeah. I know it's in the past, but I gotta say the New York Giants have stunk ever since that playoff game and ever since that boat trip, and I think there's a correlation.
Facts don't lie, Dave. Facts don't lie.
All right,
I love
who's
Miami.
next? I love Miami too. Who doesn't?
Such a
Just
great
go
place.
after you in the Super Bowl. Wait
right.
until you play a playoff game. All right, I'll shut up.
Who we got?
Scott.